Hello and welcome back to another matchup. In the blue we have Tatoh towards the western side of the map playing as the Chinese. Towards the eastern side in the red we do have Twigg playing as the Berbers. Berbers of course looking to get to those camel archers, but a million things they can decide to do. So the only way we can see exactly how this game is going to play out, especially against two civs as versatile as this, as by watching it happen. We're going to speed up, probably not that far. 75 seems about right for this because both players do have a very open map, and I would like to cover that a little bit just before we get into any kind of Dark Age harass, ball steals, etc. That could potentially be an option here. So for Tatoh, has his gold in a really defendable location here, right behind the town center. Can do a quick wall off across here, can do a quick wall off across here. Getting towards this side of the map here, obviously a little bit further away, but he can wall off this entire back section very easy. Even has a second recovery gold in the back there as well, so has a lot of room for options here. Does have heaps of stone towards the front here as well. Is up on the hill, but he does give him the option, at least it's not out in the center here, and Twigg can't push him off it just by advancing towards the town center. But off from that, deer patch towards the side here as well, boar in the back. Secondary boar in the back as well, not overly far away from the town center, but still not a good time. Does have lumber in the back as well, so looking like he does have a very defensive layout here he can actually decide to work with. All he needs to do is get some kind of wall up towards the town center here. Move it across and should be in a relatively decent position, but knowing Tatoh, I'm kind of hoping he plays this one a little bit more aggressive than tries to get his walls up early. But look at this, here's the house wall at the front already, starting to try and lock this one down as much as possible. Might even lock it down to the tree line here and then try and go. It's a big gap to look at, and that's another big gap there, but I guess he could just wall towards the town center and just hope his opponent doesn't come all the way around. But look, we'll wait and we'll see. As for Twigg, what have we got? He's got this kind of crater effect going on as well, so the land spawn has basically pushed this all down around the town center for him, but he still has these nasty hills around the side here. Barry's actually up on that as well. His gold, man, that is a bad location for his gold. I'm actually really worried about this looking at Twigg, and look at how open this front section is as well. This is actually just horrible moving across and around here. As for the right side, again, so open, and playing as Berbers as well. If he wants to move up to those camel archers, doesn't exactly have a lot of options when it comes to the stone here. They're just going to be so hard to hold and defend. So unless he can kind of get a town center up over here, town center over there somewhere, it's not looking great, but does have his barriers towards the hill like I was talking, and the smallest lumber in the back here as well. He's looking like he's going to have a very brutal map to work with here. He needs to play this aggressively and keep Tatoh out of his hair. If he can hold Tatoh back at home, he should be able to kind of move around without too much going on, but it looks like we do have Twigg on the way up to the feudal age, 21 villages, compared to Tatoh going up at 23. We'll slow things down in a second. It looks like both players just getting the scouting information they need here, and yeah, here's the wall. Tatoh walling towards the south, straight to this lumber camp here, and it looks like we should see Twigg notice this one. Doesn't decide to go for any harass, but the barracks gets dropped down by Tatoh as well. Twigg, though, well on his way towards the feudal age. Of course, we are going to see that little bit of an advantage towards Tatoh there in the early game. What have we got? Both players, as far as the scouting goes, Tatoh trying to lock down all the key resources. He knows where the stone is, he knows where the main gold is. That's going to be the big part. He's also realized this hill towards the front, whereas if we do decide to jump back across to someone else, which is Twigg, what has he seen? He hasn't seen too much at the moment, but he does have a drush moving out across the map as well. So we might even just stay here for one sec. We might slow things down a little bit to 50. And look, so he knows where the berries are, he knows where the lumber camp is, he knows where the main gold is, he knows where the split lumber is too. And look at this, we've got Tatoh's put his walls up already, nice and defensively. Just needs to stay away from that town center, and hopefully Twigg won't be able to do too much about it. However, Watchtower coming up, going to try and deny the lumber, but obviously the more productive lumber in the back here, so it shouldn't be too much of an effect for Tatoh, but at the same time, his scout's on top of it, he knows what's going on here, and I think he's just going to slowly let it happen. Just has to be very careful the man-at-arms don't start to get through here nice and quick, but goes up with his own watchtower in defense here. The man-at-arms going to be in a good place to push through, but the towers should defend from them as long as the villagers get their repairs there, and I'm expecting a player like Tatoh to know exactly what's up. We do have a spearman coming in, good micro there by Twigg, manages to pull that one out of position, and potentially could even lose a villager there if he's not careful. The scout though getting very low. We do have Tatoh back at his base, just a little bit over the screen size here away. We do have an archer range getting dropped up, more houses as well just behind this, trying to make sure he doesn't get pop capped too bad. And it looks like the archery range, yep, archer's on the way. We know what's happening. Does have a skirmisher out in play as well. Getting some ranged units out. Basically going to be dealing with these men-at-arms very easily. And look at that. Going to be able to push him away as well. And this should be the end of the villager, hopefully. We do have the scout going in for it. And there we go. Another deletion of the tower there has been forced. Tatoh holding really effectively. Has used this time to get the rest of his walls up as well. So playing it quite defensively. Twigg, like I was saying earlier on, how hard it is for him to wall the map. Not surprised that he decided to go for this play, try and get any kind of aggression onto Tatoh as he can, just as early as possible, so he doesn't have to worry about walling up, doesn't have to really worry about defending so much. Get as much military as he can right into Tatoh's base and force Tatoh to sit at home. Tatoh going up with his own mining camp though, and it looks like Twigg, we're not seeing any kind of a retaliation in terms of the mining yet as well. Still, archery range only just getting thrown up, so is a little bit behind in the game here. 29 villagers compared to 26, however 4 military compared to 6, so Twigg a little bit ahead in terms of military count there. But the thing is though, with the man-at-arms, once those archers are out in play, they're going to be able to deal with them so quickly and effectively, it's going to become an issue for Twigg, so he needs to find a way now to continue this wall off, safeten up his economy there, just lock it down a bit, and then push out against Tatoh so he can find another way just to hold Tatoh in place, do some kind of damage, and keep him where he needs to, out of harm's way. What have we got here? Palisade, another house coming up. So Tatoh's starting to finish his wall off here. Looks like it does have a villager coming around the side here. So this is all it's going to take to finish this passageway off. Spear has noticed by the looks of things what's happening. Men-at-arms trying to move around the side. But we do have to push out now. I've got a single archer with some skirms and a spear. They're going to be relatively well set off here to kind of move in, do some damage against Twigg. Hopefully delay that gold a little bit longer. But Twigg still doesn't want it. He's really playing this game here. In fact, he's actually going for the gold in the back. No wonder I couldn't see him on this front one. Definitely a better location in terms of how easy it is to defend, but this wall off over here, that's just such a big wall off. It's going to be just a pain to defend that one. Man-at-arms still looking for somewhere to do some damage, but we do have a little skirmisher war going on the hill here. Of course, we will have Twigg with the advantage, trying to pull that hill bonus, but at the same time, Tatoh's is reinforcing with more and more units at this stage. No upgrades yet for Tatoh, however, Twigg, I did just see we do have fletching coming down. We've got the +1/+1. So looking like he's going to be in a good place there. Man-at-arms potentially going to get the intercept here as well. If he can get some bonus damage, it would be quite nice. But here we go. Man-at-arms coming for the engage, trying to get this around. And going to get on top of him, actually get some extra damage in there. Some good hits, but looks like it hasn't really done enough. There we go. It runs down one of them. Eventually going to run down the skirmish as well if he turns the man-at-arms back. You can see a little bit of an engagement here under the gate, but with the gate, as long as all the units get through, Tatoh should be absolutely fine, and there we go. Twigg is forced to get out of there now. Has left the gate open, but look at this, microing around, everything is absolutely fine. Right now I've got Twigg just trying to find somewhere to do some damage. It looks like he did expose a small hole here that Tatoh is filling now, so he's not going to get taken by that one twice. And I just don't think Twigg's going to be able to really push in too far from here. The archer's going to have to be careful with them versus the skirmishers, of course. Just going to be such a bad trade. Tatoh even getting padded archer armor now as well. He looks like he's committed to this push. And then it will be basically looking at going up to the next stage for him. We've got 38 villagers compared to 34. But Tatoh's still with a slight advantage. And microing is a little hard out here trying to get these kills. Does lose a couple of skirmishes there. Twigg doing a great job of keeping the pressure on still. Getting a wheelbarrow himself. So going to get that little bit of a boost to the economy. And here we go, skirmishes again, just moving out, and Tatoh just baiting, pulling back, baiting, and then pulling back again, just trying to get any extra kills he can here. The thing we need to kind of start checking out is how we're looking on terms of the food count and who's going to go up first. Tatoh nearly has the gold to be able to, and it's kind of getting there with the food, about 300 in the bank. However, looking over towards Twigg, Twigg might actually get up a little bit quicker here. Tatoh only just going for wheelbarrow now as well, so Twigg, I'm going to say, should be in a little bit of a lead here as it comes towards getting into the next stage, which means the next upgrade should favor him and he can go for some sort of aggressive push here if he doesn't want to start locking his base down with town centers and really start trying to push for that eco lead, which at the moment is currently held by Tatoh. Not so firmly. By the time wheelbarrow is done, we should see at least another villager or two pop for Twigg. So we should be in a position to be able to start to pull this one back in terms of the eco count. Tatoh getting really close towards going up to Castle Age. This has worked out really well for him here. And as for Twigg, actually a little bit behind now. I wasn't expecting to see that. I really thought he would have been the first one to click up here. He was in a really good situation for it, but Tatoh's a little bit of extra economy, really putting him in a good spot here, and man, it is actually neck and neck. We've got Tatoh should be ready to go now. Twigg should be ready to go pretty much now as well. And there's Castle Age for Tatoh. Twigg, he just needs that extra 50 now. And there we go, Twigg up as well behind that, a little bit further behind, but look, we're not talking a lot here. We're talking 13 seconds. I think we can forgive that one. Second archery range finally coming down for Tatoh as well, so going to really start committing into that one. We did just hear a stable come up as well, I believe. There we go, stable from Twigg. So potentially could switch into some knights, really try and hammer away at those skirmishes a little bit. So he's got to be careful just not to run into too many spears and give away his game plan here. Twigg's still doing a great job with map control. He has backed off, but he has managed to give Tatoh that kind of element where Tatoh's not ready to move out from his base yet. So Good play by Twigg. He's kind of moved back. He's garrisoning up back at home. And a second stable gets thrown down for Twigg as well. Twigg really looking to get aggressive here. I am just a little bit worried that Tatoh could just sit behind his walls here, keep walling back up, and just outboom him and eventually just go for damage, and there's nothing that Twigg's going to be able to do about it. Bloodline's coming in for Twigg as well, so trying to get the HP on that cavalry. Really needs something here to happen with those knights, and I'm just waiting to see if we get any of the extra armor upgrades on those knights as well, or if his economy is going to be stretched just a little bit too thin when it comes down to the double stable production behind this. Tatoh finally moving out. Castle Age is on the way, so Elite Skirmisher, hopefully crossbow behind this as well. Does have a pretty good mix of units here, but at the same time, crossbow is really what we're looking for. Tatoh at the same time, he's got this gold locked down in the back, he's got this gold here, and hopefully should be about to take some map control as well. If he can hold Twigg in base, the thing I'm worried about is these knights, if they double pop out, Tatoh gets caught in the wrong position here, could potentially lose his entire army, but here we go, crossbow, bodkin, elite skirmisher, bowsaw, all the upgrades you want to see and enough resources to make it happen, which is the important part, and pretty much by the time this one hits, he should be in a good place. We've got Twigg now, here comes the double stable knights, bodkin arrow, elite skirmisher for him as well, and here we go, the knight pop. Does have some scouts out in play as well, potentially could see Tatoh actually notice what's going on here. Have a look. He's noticed a stable, he's seen the garrison icon on it as well, notices the second stable. What does he decide to do? Does he move back home, or is he just trying to buckle? He knuckles down on the high ground here, really goes for broke, gets caught between his opponent's skirmishers. Twigg doesn't want the engagement, there we go though, pops into elite skirmisher. Couple of knights on top of these are going to be a huge issue, however no armor upgrades on them, so the crossbows, even the skirmishers, are actually not going to be too bad against them now. Has to be very, very careful. Look at this kite here from Tatoh. It is absolutely perfect. Leaves the skirmishers behind. He knows that the units he can sacrifice a little bit more here. Needs to keep those crossbows in place. Starts killing off those knights. And he's doing a good job of it too. A great micro attempt here by Tatoh. Managing to take out a lot of those knights without losing too much of his army. And when you look at the count, we do actually have Tatoh still in front. Villager pop lead as well. I think the numbers are starting to get too low here though, and the knights, yeah, here we go, knights are starting to be able to clean this one up. Tatoh does know what's going on, however, so we have got scale barding on the way, which should mean one thing from Chinese, it should mean camels. Let's have a look and see exactly how he's deciding to play this one out. Stable in the back here, goes for the back stable as well, really important here. If Twigg kind of pushes in on the front here, he's not going to realize his opponent is going for camels, so really good for the element of surprise here for Tatoh. Means that his opponent, Twigg, can't move into a tech switch, won't be able to get any pikes and things out in time, because honestly, he just shouldn't be expecting this. I guess if he has the read, he should be expecting it, but still, how are we going in terms of that? Skirmisher still being produced, and as for Twigg, what have we got? Was still producing knights there as well, but Bloodline's on the way from Tatoh as well. He wants to fight this on as even terms as he can, and even a siege workshop coming up in the middle here from Twigg as well. He wants to get aggressive, he knows he's got map control now, so it's time to try and do some damage behind this. Tatoh going out with his second town center, or a third I should say, behind this one, so makes things a little bit easier in keeping that pop lead in terms of the villager count. Looking back home, we do have a second town center up for Twigg. Have we got a third one coming up? No, doesn't have any extra goals. Still hasn't even secured his main gold here towards the front, but we should be just about ready to see the push from Twigg and see if Tatoh can hold it. And if he's going to kind of try and hold on to these camels a little bit more, make sure that Twigg doesn't see him, then rush them out across the map. We've got knights in the back here looking for a place to do some harassment. We do have the extra house coming up from Tatoh, so going to be able to hold out without too much of a worry. Camels at the same time has got forging on top of those. However, this should be a big surprise here. Twigg didn't know the stable was even down for Tatoh yet, and look at this. The camels are straight on top of him. That scout just taking so much damage per hit. The camel bonus is absolutely fantastic there. Works out very, very well for him. Tatoh deletes off some units here, and it looks like we have seen the retreat from Twigg as well. He knows what's going on here, and he can't afford to fight this in the open yet. Needs to get those skirm counts up, needs to get those crossbow counts up, just so he can begin to deal with the camels. Does have a mangonel here ready to go, so potentially could get a couple of good pops on top of these guys here. But does need to be very careful, but those camels at the moment are going to be the hard thing to counter. And it looks like Twigg's going for his own camels here in defense, so hopefully he'll be able to hold it a little bit better as well. Alright, so the siege workshop here. Hopefully we should see a mangonel pop as soon as he manages to start taking this all back. The thing I'm worried about is Tatoh's just going to start pulling ahead in terms of villager count here. Tatoh, if he can stall this out, he just puts himself in a better and better position. Really, the pressure's on Twigg here to make something happen. How are we looking across the rest of the map? Not too much going on, but it looks like the engagement we are going to see. Camels on top of the skirms, on top of the knights as well. We do have the mangonel out in play, goes for the attack grounds, and oh, we did have a staggered formation there, but camels managed to take out the mangonel before it can do too much, with a little bit of help from the crossbows. Crossbows doing a great job cleaning this one up. Tries to deal with as many of the camels as possible. wants to keep his units alive, and it looks like Tatoh will again take this engagement, push his opponent back, and Twigg will be running away, just trying to keep whatever units he can alive behind this. Crossbows cleaning up whatever's left behind, and those camels might be overextending, and yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Twigg tries to take the fight there, gets the regroup, and tries with the skirmisher to push through here. Doesn't have anything else on the way, so I'm just worried about these crossbow numbers versus the camels. Should be able to cut through them very, very quickly. Twigg here, what are we going to see? What's the play? How do you want to play this one out, my man? Goes for a couple of skirmishes again, tries to keep pushing them, but look at the camel numbers from Tatoh. He just keeps rallying them towards the front and just keeps that army count up. We're looking at 71 villages compared to 67 of Twigg. Twigg not that far behind in the villager count, but the military count, 20 to 7. It makes a big difference, especially when Tatoh's been microing so well. This game has basically been taking everything he can, and even a castle coming up defensively here as well. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Uses the crossbows to deal with the knights, deal with the camels, and there we go. Twigg again being forced to basically fall back across the map. Does have a monk out in play though, so we can potentially see some converts on the camels there. Can potentially see these heals happen as well, because can keep that army at a full HP. In fact, it would be very, very nice to see. Still does have a villager on stone here as well, slowly building up that count, but what have we got in the back here? A market coming up. Looks like he wants to balance his economy out a little bit. Potentially sell off some food, get some gold in the bank, that way he can continue camel production, maybe even get a couple extra monks out as well. But I'm starting to get worried for Twigg here. Tatoh is just putting himself in a better and better position as we go. What have we got? Siege Workshop looking good here. However, here come the camels. Going to start doing that damage. We do have the crossbows defensively as well. Mangonel potentially going to try and stop this castle. Gets 2 kills on the villagers there. But just look at how fast Tatoh's starting to pull in front now. 84 compared to 77 villagers. A little bit more than before, but the big part here being 30 compared to 16 military. The camels getting their ups as well. Doesn't have full on them yet, but still on its way. Castle just going to take some map control here as well. But Tatoh doing a great job of just locking down the map as best as possible. We've got a good garrisoned army of Twigg here as well. Twigg actually going down with looks to be like a defensive siege workshop on here. Nearly thought that could have been a castle, but just does not have the resources for it. I'm starting to think, though, that Twigg might be waiting for Imperial Age here. He's got the monastery, he's got the siege workshop from before. His resources are getting high. It's just his military count is sticking so low, and I'm worried he might go for the tech push here. Really try and get up into Imperial Age, but just won't have the army to defend himself when it matters. Behind this as well, how's Tatoh going? Tatoh looks like he's starting to make a little bit of a play for Imperial as well. Has a little bit of food in the bank, but that gold count is really what starts to pull me away. And look at this. Look at the stone count. He can afford another castle if he wants to as well. Let's have a look at how this engagement goes. The high ground obviously going to be in favor of Twigg here, but look at the numbers difference. There's nothing that Twigg can really do about this. We've got one Scorpion out in play. Camels, though, charging down on top of that straight away. Potentially some converts here with the monks as well, but the count, it's getting closer actually now that we look at it. Microing straight on top of the monks here, trying to get as many kills as he can with them, trying to get as efficient plays as he can out of those crossbows. Works out relatively well. Military counts is basically dead even though. Tatoh actually starting to fall behind here. The converts might have actually done it for Twigg. He might be able to hold this one out. I was so worried for Twigg just then. So worried that that push was going to be the end of this. But some great converts there. Having a fully healed up army put him in a great location there. And what have we got in the siege workshop? Still going for a couple of scorpions. Like we did see potentially placement down here. What have we got? Another defensive castle coming up from Tatoh. Right on top of the gold. Right on top of the lumber as well. Tatoh knows what's going on. All those DM skills are really starting to help him out. But basically locking down those gold points nice and early. Imperial Age for Tatoh as well. And actually manages to get up a little bit faster again. Working out massively in Tatoh's favor here. Tatoh, though, the problem we're looking at, very low in terms of the actual army count, but his army value is going to be much higher. The Chukunoos, of course, going to be such an effective unit. Skirmishers will be able to, like, stand up against the Chukunoos, but it's not exactly what you want here. Where's he going to be able to go from this play, and what is he up for? Defensive castle coming up on the hill here. This is really what I thought he was going to place here, but I like the idea of pushing a little bit further forward and be able to have the hill bonus versus anything that pops in, and of course defend that gold a little bit easier. And what have we got? He's even scouting out with these monks as well, so potentially looking to pick up all those relics now. In fact, we've even got one relic goes to Twigg already. Good play from him, knowing this could potentially go into late game. We have some fantastic players, so it's absolutely an option. But look at this, another 3 stables being thrown up by Tatoh. He knows exactly how to play this one from here. Chukunoos moving towards the front. We've even got Chain Barding coming down, but Twigg going for ballistics behind this as well. Looks like he really wants to get that ranged unit buff. And husbandry for Twigg as well. Really interesting to see this actually. Obviously wants to start moving in towards his castle production, which of course is going to be the Camel Archer. Yep, there we go, starting to produce them now. So it looks like he's really going to try and hone in on that one. And of course, he does have a lot of the upgrades from earlier. He does have his +1 armor on these camels already, but the big one going to be Bloodlines. That's going to help out his camels here a little bit when it comes to the future. Husbandry as well, so really it's about pushing that one as much as possible. So really we'll be seeing a lot of Chukanus here, hopefully versus a lot of Camel Archer. The camels hopefully should be able to kind of sit this one out, just work as that main bulk. It looks like we might even be seeing another castle come up over here from Tatoh as well, as again, he continues to lock down those golden resource spots. Heavy camel on the way from Tatoh. We've got Bracer as well. Where's his military kind of hanging out? That's really what we want to see now. All towards this kind of middle section here, has got some garrison inside this castle, and potentially going to lose a lot of villagers here. These skirms are going to cut through these guys so easily here. Bracer coming down for Twigg as well, plus Chemistry really wants to get the full ups on those camel archers as quickly as possible. Even Tatoh going down with Conscription here, picking up those relics as quick as he can. And what have we got going on in the center? Both players looking like they have no military on the field at the moment, not really out in play. But at the same time, 31 for Tatoh, 24 for Twigg. And I'm just worried again that Twigg's going to fall into some trouble here. Does deny the castle, however, gets some free villagers, and actually brings it to pretty much dead even in terms of the villager count. We've got 117 for Tatoh, 115 for Twigg, and more villagers, of course, being pulled over to finish this guy here off. Moves the Trebuchet out of danger, and hopefully between these camels, and here come the extra heavy camels. This is what we want to see. Camels in here will push them away from the castle, which means we will see the final push here, get the castle up, and we'll be in a good situation. The Trebuchet War is about to start as well, so it's about getting those numbers out and being able to hold it. Twigg, of course, does have the hill advantage here, so it will gain him a little bit of time, but again, Tatoh's just got so much military on the field, I'm worried he's not going to be able to hold it. We've got a second castle coming up here for Twigg as well. I guess it's not going to defend that gold as much as it needs to, or even this lumber, but at the same time, it will hold the hill here, so it won't be able to push directly into his base. Tatoh takes out these kind of buildings just around the side here, because he needs something to do with that army, right? But the Treb War has started. We've got 2 Trebs already unpacked for Tatoh, a third one moving into position. We have 2 Trebs already out in terms of Twigs, and look at this, here come the camels straight on top. They've got the +4 armor. And they're just going to gut through those trebuchets straight away. They're just in here, end the Treb War nice and quickly, do the damage that needs to be done, because without these trebuchets, there's no way that Twigg will be able to hold this castle on this hill, and even then, we've got the camel archers on the way. The numbers are just not there. We already have the heavy camels straight on top of the skirmishers, and look at them, they just take out everything so quickly, and there we go, Twigg with the GG. Tatoh, an amazing display of awareness, especially putting his castles down in such defensive locations of so many of these resources. Even throws up a TC in the back there, some great aggression from Twigg, and particularly holding that Castle Age fight over towards here as well. Very impressed he managed to hold that one and looked good from him. Anyway guys, take care of each other. I'll see you in the next game.